are live. Welcome to the premiere episode of Unearthly Twilights, an Invisible Sun narrative. I am your host and game master, Grant Ellis, aka Wise Papa Grant, aka Bad Boy Grant, and in some circles, known as Web DM Grant. I should be wearing the sunglasses tonight because I'm a little under the weather and I got a bunch of bags, but F it, Kelly will yell at me if I put them on. I know who's boss in this game. Why don't we go around to our cast and everyone will introduce themselves, and we're going to go in a non-traditional order. Let's begin with Kelly.
I was muted. I wasn't suspecting that you were going
Streamer.
to.
It's officially a stream now.
Yes, hi. Hi, I'm Kelly. I'm the Opera Geek on Twitter. As my name might suggest, I am both a geek and I sing opera. That's really all I do, actually.
You can find her Wednesdays on the Greyhawk channel playing the bardiest bard in all of
the singiest bard in Greyhawk. Yes, that's me.
He has a little thing for Strahd. And next to Kelly on the screen, on what would be the viewers' left-hand sides, is Mr. Jordan Shipley from the hottest singles, the Dread Single Classics, about 24 different Twitter accounts. No, I think there's 4 Twitter accounts. Jordan, go ahead and introduce yourself to our lovely
Hi, I'm Jordan Shively. As Grant said, I run the Dread Singles account. I write weird things. Sometimes those weird things are also in games, and now I'm on here.
Yeah, it was one of those. I hadn't met Jordan personally, but I had sent a tweet out, and Darcy Ross from Monte Cook Games was like, "I ship this, please. You two play games together." So we'll see if we both fit in this sandbox. If we
how quickly you regret this.
I know. Well, we did that one shot, and I was like, "Oh no, what have I done?" He said foot prisons in regards to shoes. Jordan's great. He's very clever.
Dude, that character felt that way.
Speaking of clever, the greatest lizard folk and a member of Hell's Bells, a friend of the channel and a star of the channel, TK Johnson. How are you?
It's me. I'm doing good. I write spooky stories on the internet, and I feel like Grant sat down and was like, how many eldritch horrors can we fit into this game? We'll get TK and we'll get hottest singles, and we'll just see whether or not who the abyss swallows first. Let's as tribute.
Weird.
I'm so ready. I'm like, how many teeth can we fit into this? Other than that, I'm having a great day. It's delightful. Everything's delightful. I got my 80s makeup. I got tea. It's a great day.
I have my Bob's Big Boy look going.
Oh, Lord.
Hey. All right. I can see Jim. Jim's like, oh no, is Grant going to do the mud eyes? Mud being a tiefling from one of our D&D games. Hey guys, we're playing Invisible Sun. It's great. All right. Man, chat's hopping into the hopping place. We got a lot of people in chat tonight. Last but not least, the dynamic duo, the criminal masterminds responsible for all of this, Jim and Pruitt. We'll start with Jim and we'll end with Pruitt. It just feels right. Jim, how you doing?
I'm good. Recovering from a weekend of being sick, but I've had one really great session 0 right before this in our Warhammer game, and the closer we got to actually stepping out of the shadow and into the real world, which is the actuality, and discovering what this game is really about, the more pumped I got. My brain is already half mush, and I'm excited to get into it tonight. Yeah, I am. I'm doing good.
Well, we'll try to demushify your game, or your brain. Apologize, I got a sore spot in my jaw. Makes me talk like a dummy. A friend of mine who I had a lot of fun discussing the metagame with yesterday, the dungeon master and host of Starward Bound, in the other half of WebDM's advice shows on the YouTubes, Jonathan Pruitt.
Thank you, Grant. It's so great to be here. my third game today. Did a Q&A on Call of Cthulhu, then did session 0 with Jim. So this is the third game and hour 7 and 8 for me of gaming today. So I am slightly delirious, but I think that is the perfect mindset to be in order to step through the veil and into the real. So I'm ready to get to it.
I think you're right. This is probably the best game. I think we were all a little out of it when we played the one shot, and I thought it turned out great. So a little bit about the game, what it is and what it is not. This is a game of surreal fantasy, secrets, and a world that is truly magical. It embraces the idea of the surreal, combining the dreamlike with our reality that we have and we experience today. This world that we live in now, you, the viewers at home, and my players, is in fact the dream world. And one day we will wake up and return to the actuality. And in this game, players play powerful magic users known as Vislae. And these Vislae will uncover secrets they have returned from the shadow and have begun to embrace their home in the city of Sadarine, the gleaming city, a city that has been devastated by a war where hate and corruption was seeking to destroy all magic. You'll notice on the screen, on the right side, there is a little path of suns. All souls walk the path of suns. And there will be times, I'm a little quiet compared to everyone. Well, let me move my microphone a little closer, and let me crank my microphone up a little bit. That would probably sound a little better. It would not be a professional stream if I did not have audio issues. But the mic's closer now, and I've also cranked up the knobs quite a bit. Those of you that follow me on Twitter understand that my microphone blew up in an auto accident this weekend, so I appreciate the feedback. All right, so back to what Invisible Sun is. So we're going to play characters who are powerful magic users who live in a surreal world and are going to participate in stories and a narrative uncovering the secrets that a life form will find across the path of existence. From creation to life, to learning how to deceive people, to truth, to their death and eventual destruction, as well as ending and culminating in their rebirth. And all these things are influenced by the light of the invisible sun, which casts the light of magic on all things. The first session of Invisible Sun is a little different than all the other settings. This is going to be a world-building session. And the first of the world-building that we do is going to be as such. So, with book in hand, what happens is we are going to discuss who our characters are, a little bit about them, where we live. We're going to talk about who our neighbors are. We're going to talk about where the cool places to go in town are, because we all live in this fantastical city of Sadarine, of which on the screen I have a picture of an angel statue in a location known as Riverhome. There are many things. There are many powerful and fantastical creatures. I will bring up a different image. Zero's nightclub, where Vislae often go to discuss secrets that they have learned. The game follows a system similar to Cypher System, for those of you familiar with it, where characters aren't a combination of ability scores or the traditional race, class, and background that you will find in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. They are a sentence, an adjective, a noun, and a verb. And as we explore who our characters are today and who they live in Sadarine, we are going to go through, I believe, a 9-step process. And to begin this process, let me grab... It's funny because we're using the Zoom chat, which is causing my PDF, for whatever reason, to bounce and act a little silly. So let's begin talking about the characters we will be playing. First, let's talk with Jim Davis. Jim, go ahead and give us your character's name, as well as their foundation, their heart, their forte. You don't have to reveal their secret soul, though.
Okay. So my character is pseudonym Python, and I know very little about her right now. She is a iconoclastic ardent of the Order of the Vance, and she's a I don't know. I see someone impetuous and passionate, but also strikes a balance with their, tempers that with discipline and sort of intellect. So we're gonna figure out who this character is and what they do, what she does. That's where I'm at. And I think that's where I'm excited to be. Yeah.
And we as a group are going to figure that right now. So we have this magic user of the Order of the Vance, which is magic being treated almost like a science. And here's how we're going to begin to figure out Ms. P, pseudonym Python, a little bit about her. So tell me about the house that she lives in. It would be part of her foundation.
Right.
There would be some options.
So, remember there's an option for an unusual. Yes.
She lives in an unusual house. What makes it unusual? And if you get stuck for ideas, the rest of the players, this is collaborative. We all join in. Let's put Ms. Python in a really weird house. Instantly, TK has ideas. She's like, an aquarium at the zoo, a fish, a reptile exhibit.
What's the page reference for the foundations?
How dare you? The page reference for foundations, if you have the key, which is the first of the 4 Invisible Sun books, is page 144, print number.
Excellent. Unusual house. Like I have all these questions now about the city and sort of like its physicality, right? Like does the house need to serve like mundane sort of needs? Does it need a kitchen? Does it need a thing?
Yes, yes. You eat food. You sleep, and you live your life as you do. However, your house being unusual, what about it would make it unusual? And if we get stuck, I like to use an aid from Monte Cook Games' Numenera system. So Numenera has a deck of cards you can buy called the Weird Deck. And in the Weird Deck, you can draw a card, and on the card, it will give you a word, a phrase, and a long-form description of something that is unusual. For those of you that remember my show Life on Mard, where I played with Kelly, Kiana Shaw, Summer Job, Matthew Mercer, we ended up finding the word was mask, but what was weird about it was a woman with a mask made out of clay that covered all of her eyes, and the clay shot out and turned almost metallic into menacing tentacles. She didn't exist. I didn't write her down in prep. I just drew a card, and they described this strange woman walking through the desert wearing a mask that covered her eyes. And this is essentially what we'll explore. So,
yeah, let's draw a card. I also got a little inspiration from chat over here, and let's see what the card comes up with and what comes out the other end.
All right, what's chat's inspiration first?
So I saw from someone say the hollowed out corpse of a titan. Now, part of my inspiration for Python here is the sort of the Greek myth. And so I like the idea of perhaps Python residing in the head of Helios or Apollo or something
I
like that.
love that.
Right? Like that's the metaphor here. Apollo
I
comes
love that.
Python, but I don't think so.
Now, how can you make it weirder?
Let's make it weird.
So, what's it made out of? Not bone. Like, what's the outside? Is it like... There's got to be some purpose.
Yeah. I'm thinking it's either some sort of strange metal or perhaps, like, I don't know, maybe just something like light itself.
All right. How about metal? And as the metals banded together, each band of metal, if struck, plays a different musical note. That's weird. And if you play notes in a certain order, perhaps it will open secret doors and reveal secret rooms. Now, you may not remember what those melodies are, but they might be revealed to you.
That's right, because I remember you mentioning something about our houses. Perhaps not. We don't even know everything, about.
I like that. You're in the Titan's Head, a musical metal house. And tell me about your neighbor. You have a neighbor that lives next to you. Are they a magic user? Are they not a magic user?
This is in Shadow?
No. You've left Shadow. Forget that place. You're in the actuality now. So your house exists. There's this massive head of a Titan made out of metal that plays musical notes. And you also have a neighbor. And if you get stuck, other players can jump in to help as well.
I'm gonna tag in another player. Do I get to pick? I mean, there's no rule. Whatever we want. You
can ask him, tag him for help. I mean, tag the other third member of the fabulous Freebirds Pruitt over there.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to tag. I'm gonna tag Kelly.
Kelly's tagged. Tell us about Ms. Python's neighbor.
Miss Python's neighbor. Does it have to be one of us?
No, this is a non-player character. This is an NPC. And I would start with figuring out, are they another magic user like you guys, or are they a non-magic user?
I think they're a non-magic user who's always yelling at Python that her house makes too much noise.
I love that. I love that. So, by way of logistics, make sure you write this down, that it's a neighbor that's always yelling that your house makes too much noise. Interesting. I like that.
My inspiration from living in a New York apartment building.
Kelly, what's the neighbor's name?
Lucida.
Lucida. I like it. I like it. So, Lucida, the neighbor that disapproves of Ms. Python's noise. Sounds good to me. And how do they look? Describe them to me.
So we have bodies. We live. Right?
Your neighbor, yes.
Oh, the neighbor then. Oh, I thought you meant. What did I mean? I'm picturing someone sort of like doesn't get out much, maybe. Probably just needs to take a walk every now and then to not, cool off. But is very insular. Like watches TV too much all day. Some sort of like.
She's Sophia from the Golden Girls. If H.R. Geiger drew her.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. If this was D&D, she got inspiration. I love that.
Myself all the time.
Yes. Oh man, and I need to commission this artwork. Sophia from the Golden Girls, drawn by H.R. Geiger. I have to. Yes.
She's got cheekbones for centuries. Then she's gonna look like Yzma from Emperor's New Groove.
Emperor's New Groove.
Awesome.
Bonus points if we get all the Golden Girls in the neighborhood as a neighbor.
And Mr. Rogers.
So I'm supposed to rate this neighbor as positive, neutral, or negative. At the end of designing all the aspects about Jim, his house, and people next to him, if the score is a negative score, Jim's going to take a point of despair. If it's positive, he's going to take a point of joy. To our audience, these points are important because they are how we level up our characters. We must experience joy and we must experience despair, and you combine those two things and we advance along the path of suns. So now let's do the exact same thing for your other neighbor, either adjacent or across the street from you. So we have Lucita, the shouting neighbor.
I think like balance is where my head's at right now. So we have one neighbor who's just a gadfly, and then maybe another that Python sees is like her job is to like, I can help you though, like let me. So maybe someone who Python can like do little things around the house. If they
really helpful. Oh my gosh. Lazy Greg.
It's just like good
Python,
grandma,
please
bad
help.
grandma also on either side of the house.
I love that. I love good grandma, bad grandma. What's good grandma's name?
Oh, what is good grandma's name? Good
Mrs.
grandma's
Potts
name.
from Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah,
Is it?
like Mrs. Potts is just a good sort of just
Was it Angela, the angel?
Yeah.
Angela.
Right. Sure. She's like a house with like little Precious Moments figurines and little lace and stuff everywhere, and
But the Precious Moments figurines look horrifying.
right. It's all like murder scenes and things like that.
What? How are you in my house?
Right. Or just like if you look at them the first time and you don't really take it in, but you have to sort of stare, and it's like what? Yeah. But she always needs little things: a light bulb change, toilet unclogged, that kind of thing.
Old two flush Angelus, what they call her.
Those meds.
Bad. All right, so the meds. Needs things done. I think I'm going to rate her as a neutral NPC. Here's why. She has needs. She takes more than she gives from you guys, and you might. And thank you, Nodworthy, for the subscription. She's using you for to get things done, but she's pleasant and probably amiable company. And maybe there is something else about her house that makes it worthwhile to go in and investigate and do all these things. Perhaps secrets have been uncovered. That we will learn later. Next, give me 1 to 3 nearby points of interest in near you in the neighborhood. So, by Ms. Python's house, pseudonym Python, this head of a titan. You bang the metal, it makes musical noises. Good grandma and bad grandma lives near here. What's the happening spots, or at least the interesting spots? And think about a city that you yourself have visited or admired, or a community.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I mean, like, this feels like a neighborhood where there's a small little, like a little shop of some kind. Maybe they sell imported something or other, but it's like you could stop in and get a sandwich, and like a little bodega, not sort of standalone,
The bodega shop.
In my city, it's a taco because it's Texas, and that you can get like a little something.
What are the tacos like in Saturine?
Gosh, well, first off, they're the best ever, right?
In your neighborhood, your neighborhood has the best spot with the secret menu.
It's the secret menu. Yeah, it's the old menu that you had to have known about. You had to have been there long enough.
Yes, the old menu. Yeah, and it's great. Like, you come back from Shadow, someone has not ordered that taco in like over a century.
Mm-hmm.
But they still know how to make it. They're like, Miss Python's back, I'm going to make you a taco. And they're like, Italian tacos? Grant, stereotypes.
Sure, right. Yeah.
I'm going to make you a taco. All right.
Maybe only Vislae can see that bodega too.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe not every citizen can see
Ooh,
it.
the Vislae bodega. I like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The taco dega.
Taco dega. invisible or Vislae accessible. It's y'all's private taco shop that you've developed to exclude people.
Oh, God.
There's a word for that.
And they take a little bit of your soul when you go in, and like they make the taco based on like things you didn't even know about.
Guys, Phantom Roll Booth just had the best idea in chat. It's the Godega, the bodega with legs.
Ooh.
Hey now.
Oh yeah.
It's like a taco
Yes.
truck that's never in the same place twice.
Never in the same
Yes,
place.
and only
Yeah.
Viz like can find it. Like they'll leave like a secret rune or something.
I love that too. Ben McFarland as well, where the door is a fake vending machine in the bodega.
Right.
So the question is for Jim: is it a Godega or is
I
it...
like a Godega, and I saw elsewhere in chat a reference to Baba Yaga. Baba Yaga, of course, has that wonderful hut. And I think what it is it's like it looks like a build. It's like a
Accident.
convenient door with squatty little legs, but they're not chicken legs. They're maybe like another kind of bird, like an emu, or it's like a big
puffin
like it.
legs? No.
Exidian with it's that big cat, so it can
Flamingo.
be a bodega cat.
Ooh, I like
Got
that.
cat legs.
It's got cat legs.
Sprawly cat legs.
It's got sprawly cat legs, and it roams, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Stray cat roams. But if you know the cat, you know where it's going to be.
Yeah, it'll like climb up the sides of buildings, and you have to like scale a building to get to it.
Mhm.
Now, do you want to give us any other points of interest, or just the Godega with the amazing
There's
tacos?
bodega. I think maybe there's a little shop as well. Curios and one of those little places that you go in and they never have anything new, but it feels good to just walk around in there for 5 minutes and be like, oh, one day I'll buy this thing. Like a place like that.
All right.
Maybe they do books as well, or some kind of whatever.
Tell me about the owner.
the owner. The owner's like a young guy, like this. This is like a passion,
Hopeful.
hopeful.
I know
really
the war tore apart Saturine, but we still have these really old books.
Sure, we got all this stuff, and
Oh, now it's sad. It's probably like his parents and grandparents died in the war, and he's carrying on
Right.
the legacy.
yeah,
Man.
all this stuff came from somewhere. But he has an optimism that is sometimes exhausting.
So this is I'm marking as positive. Any more locations, or do you want to move on?
Let's move on.
All right. Tell me 2 local problems, or issues, or rumors that have come up, and the group can come up with this. And I'd like to hear from someone who hasn't made a suggestion yet. Either a local problem, an issue, or a rumor that's been happening this side of town.
I think there's a rumor that there's doors that have been appearing that weren't there before, and those doors whisper. But then when you turn around, the door isn't there. But then it's like you can see it out of the corner of your eye, and it's always whispering in a voice that's very familiar, but you don't quite get it.
I like that. So
And some people have said they've heard the door breathing, almost like a hungry breathing.
it's just me trying to get some of them tacos, but I'm not Vislae.
I was sitting here for a minute. I was like, "This is too nice. Where's the
Yeah.
catch?" And then you were like hungry breathing. I was like, "There it is.
Yeah.
I knew it. Slip those teeth in."
What's the next one?
Oh, my character will be slipping the teeth in.
Another rumor or an issue? Pruitt, I'd like to hear one out of you.
Another issue. Here's the issue. I assume there's day-night cycles, yes or no?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So during the day, people's pets who go out and roam about, no one ever sees them, ever. But every night, everybody's pets come home. And so
Oh shit!
Oh
Every
no!
every day during the day,
Dude,
like,
Do these pets have a fucking secret club they go to?
well,
Pet
that's the
society.
thing is nobody sees where these pets go. They just don't, like, the pets go out at dawn, the ones that are allowed to roam free.
The
And
Satyrine Pet Society. Oh gosh.
Most people don't see where these pets go.
I'm just saying,
Nice.
most people.
Well, that's clearly, yeah.
Well, yeah, they have their accomplices that are covering for them. My goodness. Hey, Kelly's one of them. Armida.
There's always fifth columnists. I think, yeah, okay. So this is.
Do the pets always come back the same as they were before?
I mean, that's the thing is, other than that, things seem normal when the pets come home.
They
you
don't
know?
seem slightly more hollow or anything.
No, that's
Just
the odd
like-
thing. This is the mystery of it.
So going through all of these, surprisingly, Jim, you actually have more negatives points
That's
than
not
positive. So well, it was really close. You guys were on a happy streak there for a while. We got to some evil stuff.
Was
so
it
you're
the
going
breeding?
So you're going to take a point of despair.
Okay.
And you're also going to be given a wicked key. And they talk about these in the rule book. And wicked keys are used. You see in this beautiful artwork that we have on screen that it is raining keys. Every now and then these key falls happen in Satyrine. And these keys can be used to open locks. Wicked keys can be used to overcome barriers in reality itself. So you have an object of great power. Next, let's move to Babylon. Let's start talking about Babylon. So Babylon, go ahead and describe your order, forte, and foundation that you have right now. And then let's start fleshing out your spot in the neighborhood.
Sorry, I'm taking notes. I was sitting here, I heard
You're the
Babylon. I
note
was like,
taker.
oh, wait. Wait, I'm not ready. Okay, so Babylon is an established empath of the Order of the Weavers who shepherds minds. And I imagine Babylon is at first I didn't know who Babylon was. I definitely know who Babylon is now. And I wanted to Babylon to deal in secrets more. She dabbles in memories now. That's what she charges for rent. So rent is memories now, and she's very friendly, and she's very gregarious, and she really just wants to hang out with everyone and have a great time. She's a little bit of a mean girl. That's who she was in the shadow. She was absolutely a Heather Chandler, and she still is a little bit. She's trying to make friends because it's considerably more dangerous than it was in like the corporate world. So she can't just get away with like sleeping with her secretary's husbands anymore. But yeah, she's a bit of a mean girl. She's a bit of she is a bit of a backstabber. She doesn't mind hurting other people a lot. If this were 5e, she would be lawful evil. Not an evil person per se, just doesn't really care about other people's feelings or whether they live or die.
Sounds quite a bit like my second wife. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, she reached the actuality after she was pushed out of a window. So
Oh my goodness. Back from Shadow.
yeah, not a great time. I'm sure she'll learn her lesson with the help of some friends. Best friends.
BFFs.
BFFs.
All right. So, now let's talk a little bit about your house that you live in. Tell us.
At first I definitely wanted it to be haunted. But I think she cares more about the people who are in the house than she does the house itself. she doesn't have I don't think that she has a ton of attachment to the house, even though she's established. It's more what she can get out of people who don't have houses. So I don't know how much she would put into this house, like how much she looked for in this house. So I'm gonna need help with that.
Good deal. Next, let's talk about one of your neighbors.
Yeah.
Tell me about them. Where do they live in relation to you? In relation
Oh my
to your house?
god, they live too close.
They're a roommate?
They think they're a roommate.
Always over at your house? Man, so
He
this
is
reminds
always
me.
over here.
I rented a house in college once, and it was a house where not quite a townhome. It looked like at one point it was just a house, but then they were like, all right, you guys get to live on that side, and you guys get to live on that other. They said we lived in separate houses. We had separate addresses. We were always in the same house, and they were always on our side of the house. Like, well, it's cleaner over here. Yeah. So it's the.
Yes.
Tell me about this nosy hopper inner at your house.
He will
This-
not like he doesn't pay rent, but he's always sleeping over here. Like I will always come home and it's been a long day. You know, I spend a lot of time people watching. I don't think that anybody really appreciates how much time I put into watching other people. It's a whole thing. And I get back and he's sleeping on my ceiling all the time. It's really creepy. I wake up in the morning and he's staring at me from the ceiling over my bed. It's really gross.
I agree.
It's really gross.
What's their name? How do they typically dress?
Oh my god. He is so gross. He wears like this like a tweed jacket with those oh god, what are those? Like a vinyl patch on the
Oh,
elbow?
Yes.
Oh,
the
right?
patches.
Oh my
Ugh.
god. So 83.
Oh.
And he wears like this it's got like 8 buttons down the front. It's like a plaid, like a vest, or it wants to be a vest, but the lapels are way too wide, if you know what I mean, for his like scrawny chest. I think that if I had to describe his skin, it would be like dried parchment.
Oh my goodness.
He really
So,
needs exfoliate.
are they a Vislae or not a Vislae?
I don't know. He sleeps on my ceilings, but honestly, I think that's the worst of what he can do.
It's not even
I
a
know, it's
Vislae, just some
like
stupid hobo
eerie.
contraption, like a David
Yeah,
Copperfield
man,
lever
like-
pulley system pulleys themselves up.
I don't know. I just wake up and then I have to like him out of my house. It's freaky. I don't even know how he gets in. I mean, I don't close my doors, but whatever. What if somebody who pays wants to live there?
All right.
I don't know what his name is.
What-
It's like Jerry or
I
Bart.
can go. It's Rodney.
Rodney. Yeah, that sounds
yeah,
like
it's
he
Rodney
looks like a
Argyle.
Rodney.
Yeah.
You know what Rodneys are like.
No respect.
They get no
Um,
respect.
I was gonna say, yeah, it was like I was thinking of different people I know that can come in and play Rodney as a guest NPC sometime. I think the first one I'd start with is Nerdarchist Dave. How you doing, Babylon? Man, you gonna finish all that? I love Dave, by the way, and he'd just be like,
That would
"Hey,
absolutely
I'm
be
on
it,
your
yeah.
ceiling again."
Yes, and like I can imagine she's like making a sandwich in the kitchen. She like closes the refrigerator door and then she like looks around and then she opens it again and he's inside like handing her a bottle of orange juice. Or Vislae juice. Vislaeos, whatever. She's like,
Vislae juice.
"Oh, are you
Tell-
still here, Dave? Okay."
This is very, very clearly a negative negative person. Tell me about
Is Vislae juice made from Vislaes?
I don't know. I just buy it. It was on sale.
we're not supposed to say.
So it's
I
the
don't ask.
discount Vislae juice. Okay.
Oh yeah. And you know, if the frozen can is dented, that's 5 cents off. It's perfect.
Tell me about your second neighbor.
Oh my god. She is So hot.
Like temperature-wise or appearance?
Oh yeah, like I don't know how she gets her hair to catch on fire, but she is
Flame
that
ahead?
like short skirt, long jacket type of hot. You
So
know
she
what
like
I mean?
a Vislae that's been to the changeries a few times. So she has like the short skirt, long jacket, fire hair, motorcycle,
Oh yeah.
sidecar.
Changed her name from Kitty to Karen. You know what's up.
Right? I know.
That slang's a little too modern for Babylon, actually. I
That's
might pull that back.
And that's good enough though. So here's a question. Um, one of my questions is, tell me a bit about their demeanor. What's their attitude towards you when you're around?
Her attitude towards me? Um, well, okay, so like I've been meaning to go over and say hi because she just moved in like, I don't know, like 3 years ago. I just haven't. Like I'm super busy. I have like so much stuff to do, but I would, but I haven't. I just kind of like, check and see if she's like asleep when I get home.
Got it. And yes, WebDM mod is correct. TK is killing this. That's what they do. That's why you play with the TK. Tell me about a point of interest near your house.
Oh my gosh, I live near like this little park where they do a bunch of like little art festivals and stuff. That's always the best place to meet new Vislae and stuff because they don't know all the rules around here, so they kind of just give away memories for free. Who does that? Them. They're idiots. And so, last month they had this exhibit where you could actually go and dissect other Vislae for free. Right? Isn't that the coolest thing you've ever heard? And I mean, the instructors lay on the table and as you're dissecting them, they give you a grade. I audited, of course, because I'm not paying for it. But it was fun to like watch other people do it and get criticized on their like vivisectomy techniques. So that was great.
Noah got kicked out of that exhibit.
Speaking of Noah,
no. Oh yeah. There was like, oh my gosh, there was this guy. Like between you and me, I don't know what was going on, but like I think he thought it was a little bit more hands-on class than it was, and he was all like, "Oh, so you're the one giving me grades?" And he starts putting stuff in his mouth. I was like, "What are you doing?" I was really like that. I was like, "Oh my god, what is this guy doing?" And he just like starts licking scalpels and stuff. And he was like, "No, I think I do pass." And then they had to like carry him out. It was so funny.
In high school we dissected the frogs, and I ate mine, and I said, "Waste not." No, I never did that.
Visible sun, they dissect you.
Jordan, tell me about another place near Babylon's house. I'm curious to hear from you.
I think there was a used bookstore behind her house, kind of like if you go, there was this weird little alley that you would go down there, and the alley isn't always there, but when it is there, at the end of it, there's a bookstore that are books that have yet to be written, and everything in the windows kind of like seems to fade in and out, but it's well trafficked. But every time, at least I've gone there, they wouldn't sell me. They said, "Oh, we're out of stock," even though you can see the potentiality like flickering on the bookshelves. So it's obviously they're waiting for very specific clients to come in. And I'm pretty annoyed that I'm never the right client.
You try 3 times a day. Is it me yet?
Oh,
is it me?
Or more. Getting a little awkward.
Yeah, Babylon definitely sees him. Like she like sits on a park bench and like throws like seeds at birds, just like watching him try to get in this bookstore. It's just like, what is he doing?
I think that description reminds me there is a quote that says, "A good bookshop is just a genteel black hole."
Mm-hmm.
That sounds...
Oh, that's more fitting than you know for my character.
And
well, see, I gave you that. Jim gave me the pets. It works.
Now here's a question, Kelly. What's another place of interest near Babylon's house?
Near Babylon's house. I just went totally blank. um, Near Babylon's house is there is where boats come in, like a harbor. But we're landlocked, so we don't know where the boats come from.
Interesting. I like that.
They just show up.
And it's just like in a little tiny like lot.
Yeah, it's like in a parking lot.
I
And then
love
there's
stuff
there's
like that.
Harbor.
There's like a pirate ship there, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess today's
I
pirate.
love that. That reminds me of like my childhood. I'd go to Indiana and it's like, how the heck did they get that boat in that little pond? We built it there. You'll never be able to sail. We know.
Sometimes when you're walking by this thing, you can hear almost like a foghorn of a boat, but then it's not there yet. But then if you walk by, the sound just cuts off like a knife, like you're walking by like this really directional speaker, and you hear like what kind of the ocean or the boat or something, but then it's like whoosh, not there anymore.
And then every once in a while the Flying Dutchman shows up, and we're like, oh, that's where you went.
Does anyone ever get caught on the boats?
It depends on how interested in the sailors they are.
Well, every once in a while there's a black barge that shows up.
Mm-hmm.
And no one knows about. There's always like there's guys or monks or faceless with robes waiting on this barge, but no one ever gets on or off that barge. But it is always, when you see it leaving, and it's always full, even though you never saw anything get onto it.
I like that.
Has Noah ever tried to get on that?
So,
here's. I think.
Well, answer the question, then I have a follow up.
Okay.
I think Noah one time contemplated getting on it, but that was when he was first come over from the shadow, and he was still in the throes of having like discovered that everything is a fucking lie in life. And that was a very like dark moment where he thought like, well, maybe I can just get on this boat and just go back to nothingness. But then he's decided to stay in actuality.
Here's a question. What are some rumors about the Black Barge that have been told? I'd like Jim to tell me one of the rumors about him.
All right. Well, I think that the rumor is that the Black Barge, that it doesn't necessarily take you back to the shadow, but that it's that the actuality is a way stop itself, and the Black Barge is a conveyance along that way, yeah.
So it's a path to another.
Path to something.
Like, you
but
guys
not a way
live.
back.
So Saturine's beneath what would be called the Indigo sun on our path of suns that we have, and maybe it takes you to another world, another sun. Maybe it takes you to someplace else. You, who have recently returned to Shadow, don't know. I love that. And then, what's another rumor that's been going on in the area? This one, TK, you go ahead and give it to us.
Oh, I hear a lot of things. Let's see. Gosh, what was a good one? After that art exhibit where all of the statues were actually real people and they just split themselves apart. One guy took a chisel to himself. It was great. Let's see. Some rumors, some good rumors. I used to know so many good ones, but I think the newest thing that I heard about was that newest academy that just opened down the street. They say that they know a lot about apostate magic, but everybody knows that apostates don't have academies. So who knows what they're doing there?
Ooh. The School of the False Apostates.
fuck that place.
Give me about 3 seconds. My dog is trying to break down my door.
He wants to get on that barge.
I get on the barge. That sounds like a fun trip.
I mean, the barge is all the pets that go out at night, but they're all like 4 pets in a trench coat. You know?
It's just a party boat. It's just like
Yeah,
a
it's just
drink,
a party boat.
a booze cruise.
It's a pet party barge.
All right.
5 cats stacked up forming Voltron.
5 cats stacked up forming Voltron. I put my headphones on at an awkward time. And I'll form the head.
Oh, Twilight's Falling is winning the joke so far. I ship the barge. It works on a lot of levels.
Oh, all the levels.
I love that dude. He's been a good force in our Discord and a good force for positivity on Twitter recently. Let's so I'm going to tally up some totals here. 1, 2, 3. You are also going to get a point of despair, Babylon, and obtain a wicked key that can be used to alter reality, of which we will talk about after the session in the Discord. Which, by the way, we have a Discord for our viewers at home. You can gain access to it and get some behind the scenes, some side scenes, and some additional lore and knowledge by participating in the Patreon, patreon.com/GrantREllis. All the money raised goes to pay our 16 cast members across 3 shows. And definitely contribute if you want to get the inside scoop on what's going on in Saturine. Also, by way of sponsorships, I'd like to thank Tabletop Loot. They are an excellent sponsor to the show. Make sure you use the WebDM discount code to get your 15% off. And I hope I quoted that correctly. Let's move to Jordan. Let's talk about Noah's order or lack thereof, Heart, Forte, and Foundation.
Do you want me to go a little bit into like what he was coming out of Shadow as well?
Yeah,
right.
Let's do that. Divulge as much as you'd like to, or as little as you'd like to.
Okay, so his name is Noah Besden. He is an eremitic, stoic apostate who devours knowledge. And before he was awoken to the actuality, Noah worked a very menial labor job. He was at a come and go kind of like shop, pumping gas and working behind the counter. But he was always trying to better his position, but he was always falling for like these getting online courses, but it was all unaccredited. He would find out, or he would buy into those pyramid schemes or like go get those skill shares to be like a new businessman. So everything he tried to do, because he hated his position in life, his lack of power and his not having the knowledge that he saw, because he never went to college or anything. So when he woken into the actuality, and he doesn't remember what it was that snapped him into the actuality, but in that moment he saw like all the patterns of the shadow. For one moment he saw that it's like everything was a societal structure and a trap to keep knowledge from him and to keep him in his place as a cog. So when he woke up into the shadow, he was immediately like, just fuck anything that tries to tell me how to get knowledge. I'm going to go and I'm going to seize the magical means of production for myself and just devour anything. He only trusts knowledge that he has gotten for himself, and that isn't shared. And he has, I would say, a slight addictive nature with secrets. And the more secret, the better. So he has some ultimate goals of getting certain secrets in this universe that no one else knows. Like the unmoved mover of secrets is one of his goals.
Nice.
The secret that no one has ever been told. And he wants to eat that shit and not share it.
And tell me about Noah's
what he
house.
looks like? Okay.
What he looks like and his house.
All right. So Noah has kind of coppery skin and like an unruly shock of black hair that has like gray streaks through it, because he was about 40 years old when he woken into the actuality. And it's kind of like that already going gray. You can tell that like it doesn't quite match up with his age. He has darkened shadows under his eyes, and in the corners of his eyes, you can see the beginnings of these little like black veins that are like snaking through the sides of his eyes, and sometimes those move a little bit. He usually dresses, because he's a stoic, so he kind of puts off this air of like studious nature and stuff. So he dresses the part because he remembers you got to dress the part to be it, you know. So he dresses probably like some dark tweeds and kind of very preppy, but in like a very kind of like 1950s kind of preppy.
Nerd.
Very nerd. But
Babylon would beat him up. She's like, yeah.
And occasionally, though, when like he's talking or smiles, you think you see like an impossible number of teeth in his mouth. But then when you go to look at it, it's like it's normal again. And you don't know if that's something that he had done to himself or if that's just part of his nature. And if you ask him about it, he will smile, you know, in his house. Okay. So he has a feral house. It's alive in a way, and it was going to be very similar to Python's house. So I'm just going to make something new up here instead of what I have written down. So I think it looks like a very simple, like mid-century modern ranch house in the middle of this very plain green lawn. But if you like look at it, like the angles of the house seem off sometimes, and sometimes you hear like a low growling when you walk by. And one of the other neighbors' houses has a bite taken out of it. And it's obvious that like he doesn't get along with that neighbor, whoever we decide it is, because at some point his house tried to eat that house. And when you're in his house, every once in a while, when you put like a hand on a wall or touch something, you feel like warm flesh instead of whatever it is you see. And you get this feeling of like pulsating, like a breathing or a heartbeat inside the walls of the house. Even though you're looking at like wood or you're looking at a nice credenza, you feel like this like warm, leathery skin instead.
Belly of the beast, or the outer belly of the beast. So let's talk about your neighbors. Pruitt, why don't you tell us about one of his first neighbors?
Well, one of his first neighbor is just that neighbor that is always out front doing something, and it's always loud and obnoxious, and it's usually at all hours of the night, whether it's working out or doing housework on a house that doesn't need work done on it. Especially since there's a bite taken out of it, and they never fixed that bite. Whether it's like,
fuck, if it could have been any other neighbor but that guy, like
yeah. But the thing is the neighbor never fixes the bite, or maybe they do fix the bite, and that's what they're constantly fixing. But the bite always,
yeah,
it's a Schrodinger's bite kind of thing. But yes,
Noah is half likes it that his house like senses his annoyance with his neighbor, but half is like, just fucking chill out, man. Like we're gonna get in trouble. Like.
Yeah, and the neighbors, the guy's name, his name is Chad.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. He's a Chad. Sorry to Chads out there.
Oh, those poor.
That Chad always hanging around.
Hanging around Chad. All right, and Jim, why don't you tell us about his other neighbor?
So I think maybe the other neighbor is. I feel like the other neighbor is a like something just bizarre. Like it's an empty lot, but maybe there's like some sort of varmint or something that's there. Maybe they're not spooked by the house at all, and sort of see, and like if you know, I don't know if there's waste left over after whatever the house thing. But maybe the varmints, I don't know. That's where my head's at right now.
Maybe they're somehow they're friends. Like it's become attracted to the house.
Yeah.
As like almost like a Minoc kind of thing, you know.
Right.
But it's like more like this animal friendship, you know, like where you see like a cat laying on a dog's head, kind of thing, you know.
So like you can always sort of see them laying about, and it's like, what are these, and why does anybody buy that lot and kick those.
And that creature that lays in the lot next door, it looks like a pile of rubble, but it's actually a condemned, broken down house from somewhere else, who knows, or masonry that has also had some kind of wild magic spillage and is animated, almost like a homunculi. But when it gets up like this pile of like rubble and that rides like a sinuous snake of rubble, as much as we've seen it do it, because it likes to pretend like it's just a pile of rubble a lot of times.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot.
What's its
And-
name? Or maybe no one knows. I don't know.
Nobody knows. Let's name it.
The rubble I've seen.
Because if you were nobody knows the rubble I've seen.
What the chat?
Yeah.
What is Chad?
Chad can name it.
Maybe Chad has a name.
I can
Yeah.
name it.
Well, we already have a Chad, so the dog can't be named Chad.
No. The dog is
The
named
two
Leroy.
Chads.
No. Someone
It's
will-
either Leroy or Benji.
Leroy or Benji.
How about Trash Can or something, or like a good pit bull name?
Oh, here's where I got Benji.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of kids in my neighborhood when I walk my dog each day, and like the kids were arguing. They're like, "You can't pet that dog. You don't know that dog." And then the kid's like, "I do know that dog." And then there's like, "Well, what's the dog's name?" And they all look at me, and then I'm like, "I'm not saying it." And the kid goes, "Benji" or something like that. So my dog is now known as Benji by all the neighborhood kids.
I was saying chat, which I'm not sure that came
CHAT?
across, but I think I like Benji as well,
Benji. All right.
because it's like, yeah, you might be like, oh, Benji, but it's not.
Oh, Benji dog. I like that. Let's talk about. As I grab my first session notes, let's talk about the local problems, issues, and rumors. Kelly, give us one. Por favor.
Local problems, issues,
Or
and
rumors.
rumors.
What's something that's happening in this area of the neighborhood?
I heard a rumor that the houses that are biting each other aren't vaccinated.
House vaccines.
And they're spreading
I
all
like.
kinds of weird stuff from each house to the next house.
Well, here's what I like about that.
House rabies.
Well, when you think of 1920s New York as an aesthetic, let's talk about, say, polio epidemics, things of that nature, and that there was a war, and after the war you have these feral houses, and these feral houses that have not received vaccines or treatments or medical things are causing other houses maybe to become feral, and they're creating a pack of houses that are eating each other. They're forming a whole house army.
And sometimes those
gypsies.
houses just aren't there anymore. Sometimes when I go home, my house just isn't there,
Mm.
and I have to like figure something out.
That's giving me third life flashbacks.
Occasionally, when I'm somewhere else and I really think I need home, even though I'm not thinking about it, all of a sudden my house is like at the end of an alleyway that not where my home is. But I can't I can't control this at all. It's just the house being the house. Like, go home. Go on, get boy.
Get. All right. And a second rumor.
That's to me like the old Yeller scene, like having.
Go on now.
Mom says you can't be a good house anymore.
Babylon, what's a rumor you heard in this area of the neighborhood? Or what's an actual problem? Not just a rumor. There was an actual problem. There was an incident between parties, personnel, etc. So, what happened? What's the local
Oh my
trouble?
gosh. Well, Chad met me for brunch like 3 days ago.
Fucking Chad.
Fucking Chad. What a tad. R.I.P. Cahad. So he met me for brunch about 3 days ago, and he's been telling me this whole thing about the houses having diseases or whatever, which is probably terrible, but let's all focus on the real issue that I haven't made up yet. I was hoping I'd just talk and then it would come to me, but it didn't work out. So let me glance around my room real quick.
It was Gundams.
What if it
God, I freaking wish.
You know, I have some artwork someplace of a.
It was piloting. There's somebody piloting some manner of like a homunculi, and there are gangs of them, like people that have learned some manner of what are the makers. There are gangs of makers that are having issues in the streets right now, and they keep fighting each other. I don't know why. I don't get involved in things like that. Frankly, it's beneath me. But if they don't stop tearing up our favorite brunch spot, I think I'm going to have to do something about it because this is ridiculous.
They're fighting a proxy war with their toys.
And that is
Yes.
exactly the kind of thing that happens when you buy into magical dogmas. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you ruin all of my delicious brunches. And by brunch, I mean endless mimosas. Who's going to make my mimosas? I'm going to have to do it? No.
Chad one time tried to invite Noah to brunch, and Noah, just in a moment of remembering every single fucking brunch shift he had to work in his life, is like, fuck brunch. And like the ground broke underneath him when he said it.
You did, and then, like the shingles just
Yeah.
fell off the house as quickly as possible, straight onto Chad's face.
We've
Perfect.
managed
I imagine
to.
Chad looks like Ken.
We've managed to come up with yet another point of despair. And then some people asked in chat, and thanks to Monte Cook Games for clarifying, joy and despair is how our characters advance and experience. We have different paths of joys. The things that our characters seek after to be happy, and also things that scare us. And we experience joy and despair, and that helps us advance through our character arcs. Each character will go through an individualized character arc. It might be creating a great work, it might be overthrowing an organization, etc. And codified in the rule set of Invisible Sun is the way that we get there. So, Noah is going to receive a point of despair, and also a wicked key that will allow us to overcome an aspect of reality, a barrier of sorts. And
I'm sensing a theme here with us in these despair points.
So now, with
Kelly,
these
you guys gotta pull us out.
So now, here's what we do with the wicked keys. We've stacked up 3 so far. Jim, I'd like you to give your wicked key to another player that helped you out and said something interesting or of note during your character building session.
Oh, that's easy. I'm going to give my wicked key to Jordan for the doors and the hungry breathing, giving the rooms there some teeth, as it were. Yeah, no doubt.
And how about you, TK? Who would you give your
And make the
wicked key
keys
to?
touch their tips together.
For people who helped me out with mine, I really liked the ships, and I like the Black Barge too, but specifically like ships coming in and landing, because it made me think of Ghostbusters 2, which is This Is Pure. And so that would be to Kelly.
Kelly gets a key. And Jordan, who are you going to hand out your key to?
I'm going to hand it out to Babylon because I like the Chad character.
We all like Chad.
Well, I just like how shitty the character is.
Yes.
You know, I like when there's like really shitty characters you have to deal with.
I think we have one in every campaign here on WebDM. And now let's move down to Armida. Go ahead and tell us about your character. Kelly, your order, your forte, and a bit about your foundation. We're going to talk about your house a little bit, and then we're going to talk about your neighbors' points of interest, etc. Now, quick question. Did we talk about points of interest by
Noah's house? No.
No, okay. That's let's do that real fast before we get there. So, Kelly, why don't you give us a point of interest near Noah's house?
I thought we did.
It's okay. We'll skip. What we'll
Yeah,
do is we've got a pirate Jesus in the background. You go, what's that supposed to mean earlier? We hear you, pirate Jesus. For those of you that know, it's Kelly's perfect, sweet, and adorable husbando. And Jim, go ahead and give us a point of interest near Noah's house.
So I think like there's a place where people leave something, right? Like, you know how there's those bridges in Paris where they leave like locks, you know, it's something like that, but it's not locks. It's something else. Maybe they leave
Turtle shells.
Maybe they leave, you know, whatever's in their back.
Let's play a weird card from Numenera.
Maybe something like that, or maybe it's not physical. Maybe it's more ephemeral.
A vial of blood.
A vial of blood. People leave vials of their blood in all sorts of different containers, right? Some of little clay dishes. Maybe it's like
the cup of a carpenter.
Cup, sure, right? You know, metal.
Would not be made of gold.
Yeah.
And there's a rumor attached to this that people have seen Noah taking some of those vials of blood.
Noah and Babylon fill in their pockets, not saying anything. Like, look, I see you, you see me. We don't acknowledge this.
No.
Yeah, they're just like see each other from across. They're like one of these is a phylactery.
It's
You
like
and
when
I
you were,
both know one of them.
it's like when you were at a VHS store back in the day, and like you're both getting like the really like trashy movies. You're just like, you don't say anything. You're like, yeah, we're.
At one point, they like saw each other at the ends of the same alley where they were both like dipping their pinky in the blood and like tasting it real quick to see if there's anything interesting, and then just like pouring it out. Like, ugh.
Noah was weirdly rubbing it on his gums a little bit.
Yeah, like he was like, no, I already
He
have.
was tossing it over his shoulder, you know.
Yeah, they just like toss it, and then they like see each other. It's like two like eating thing, but it's like with them, and she's got like a sippy cup thing of blood. She just like looks at him. She's like, like runs away.
And Noah has like that kind of like that little like that look of like belligerent kind of like, I dare you to like to like judge me for this.
Yeah, like angry cats.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't tell Chad.
I do
All
one
right.
more like little like tooth dab before I turn away.
All right, Kelly, do you have a second point of interest by Jordan's house?
A second point of interest, I think, is going to be another restaurant, but I think it's going to be like one of those old 1920s style diner places where you like put the coin in and you just like take the food out of the wall.
Oh,
Yeah, I love that. Good stuff. Tell us about the person who runs it a little bit.
No one ever sees who runs it or makes the food.
yes, that's the best part.
Good deal.
It just
And
shows up.
I think this is still just enough. Looking at the math to still award Noah a point of despair, and
Oh, another point of despair.
no.
Okay.
I had to recalculate based off of our
Okay.
points of interest.
Can I just say this isn't canon, but what if the pets are running the Instamart?
I have a theory they are.
Just feeding us the cat food that we feed them.
But like they put some garlic on it and some garnish, you know.
So we're gonna start with Galahad and come back. And yeah, I got my thumbs up. So Galahad, tell us about your character.
Galahad crossed over, and once he started moving and started to see all the sights there were to see, he has not stopped. Galahad is a itinerant stoic of the Order of Makers who warps space and time. And he's constantly fiddling with something. He's always pulling things out of his pockets. He's always working on something. And he's always checking his pocket watch, checking the time, seeing what's what. But he's a man of optimism, and a little bit of maybe it's not that sometimes can come across as insincere, like it's like almost a forced optimism, but optimism nonetheless. But he's also being a stoic and a maker. He dresses the part. He has kind of a garish dress about him, high collar, big kind of a big silk scarf around his neck. He wears gloves, but like I said, he's constantly in motion, like picking things up, checking them, like I said, fiddling.
Does he have a house?
He does not have a house.
Where does he typically stay?
He typically stays with a number of people. That's one of the things. Is he kind of one thing he does know is he knows all the places around town that you can stay. So he might even know like all of the players here and their houses, and has stayed there at one point. Although he doesn't really like staying at Babylon's house because that
Babylon
neighbor
doesn't like staying at Babylon's house.
That neighbor, I mean, like he sleeps on the wall above me, like within like 2 feet. It's kind of weird. I wish he would stay on the ceiling, but he like stays on the wall. So our feet touch one
Galahad,
time.
I
It's gross.
told you to lock your window, but you never listen.
But they're half the time
My
there aren't
fault.
windows. Do you sell them?
No.
I don't know what you do with them.
Look, I gotta pay for my mimosas.
But who buys windows? That's I sit there sometimes all night wondering like,
Well,
Where did they go?
I moved them. I needed a bigger window, so I just moved them all to my room. No reason. Don't ask. Has nothing to do with her. Stop asking. Oh my god.
I never do. I mean, you brought it up. That's the only reason that
I
I
can
was.
feel your judgment.
There was no.
Whatever,
there was
you're
no-
not
there was
welcome here.
Never judgment.
Rodney can have your room.
Okay, well, I mean, that's fine. Rodney can have my room. I'll just go and collect new stories and new memories, and I'll share them with other people. That's fine. That's cool. Sometimes he stays over at Python's. That's more interesting to Galahad. Like just he loves to contemplate how to truly get inside the head of a fallen Titan. So yeah, he's a man about town.
So here's my question for you, man about town. When you're staying with Python, Ms. P, pseudonym Python, who is a neighbor that we haven't mentioned yet of interest over by that way?
Oh, let me tell you. She's a bit hairy, but she's sweet. Her name's Dalai Lama. She has a weird look about her, but she means well, and she makes a mean glass of lemonade, and she'll talk your ear off. But she lives across the street. She loves to tend her garden. A garden of flowers that grow in reverse. You actually plant them fully grown, and the seeds come out of the ground, and you have to harvest the seeds. So it's an odd life that she lives, but I don't judge, unlike some people believe.
All right, and then Noah, why don't you give us a second neighbor over by Babylon's house that can be seen gallivanting near Galahad occasionally? That would be from Mr. Jordan.
Oh, I'm sorry.
A neighbor for Galahad.
Okay. I think there is a person who he doesn't know if they live there, but they are always collecting different things from around the neighborhood, things that don't belong to them. And sometimes they go into houses, but then all of a sudden when you go to talk to them, you just have this feeling of like, no, they need to have that thing. Like that's an important thing for them to have. So they're like a collector. But it always seems to be centered around this one corner by Galahad's house. Whereas where you see them coming and going from the most, besides the times when you wake up and they're taking a sock out of your drawer, or they're like, taking something writhing from underneath your pillow that you were just dreaming about, but now they're walking out the door with it, and you feel like they should be.
All right. Now, Kelly, Armida, why don't
Really
you give
shitty
us
version of borrowing a cup of sugar.
Why don't you give us a point of interest near where Galahad can be found? One will be close to Babylon's house, or nearby, maybe a little further out.
A laundromat, but you never get back your own clothes.
That's where you go to get your clothes changed. I like it. I like it.
Like, they're your clothes, but they come back in different colors and patterns.
That's almost like a weird style of gambling. Like, you go in, you all pay the same amount, you leave with a different outfit.
It's a more fashionable version of gambling, yes.
One time, Galahad left with a 3-piece suit, except the shoes were like genie shoes, like the Iron Sheik or something. Curly toes. Look, no one checks my feet anyways. All right, and then Jim, why don't you give a second point of interest?
A second point of interest. So there used to be a war, right? It seems like a war memorial, but not a somber one. One of those like uplifting, sort of like Soviet style, like triumphant kind of things. And I'm thinking like that. A war memorial for this this war that we all went through.
Right. And also to explain to chat, this is technically session 1. People will say it's like an episode 0 or a session 0, usually based off of the way other game systems works. This is technically the first session, and for episode purposes, this would be the first episode. And this is actually part of the codified rules of the game that you go through this process. So we are playing the game itself as it was intended to be played. Doing some quick math for Galahad, you are going to receive a point of joy. You have advanced along your path of joy. And you will also be able to hand out a wicked key to someone who assisted you with something creative or clever or useful during that.
I am going to hand out the key to Python because the War Memorial is so far beyond perfect that you have no idea. Galahad would spend quite a bit of time. You would see him walking the monument, the walls with the names etched of the fallen. He spends quite a lot of time there.
Good deal. I like that. And now let's throw back to Kelly and Armida and learn a little bit about her. So tell us about your character and your house.
Okay, so I am Armida, a bizarre ardent of the Order of Goetics who converses with everything. So
there's rumor that you have a cat.
There is. I'm about to talk about him. So when you look at Armida, she's kind of tall, very pale, and her hair is very white, but she's not old. She's actually quite young. She hasn't been out of shadow for too long. But what you notice most is that she has a cat that rides on her shoulder. And the cat has no hair. And the cat has 6 eyes. The cat is called Archie. So here's the thing with Archie. I have conversations with Archie. I hear everything Archie says, and Archie has a lot to say. The problem is, I think everybody else can also hear Archie. Nobody else hears Archie. It's just me. Vislae can see that Archie has 6 eyes, and I assume to non-Vislae he appears as a cat. But I've been informed by Grant that he actually appears as a dog, sitting on my shoulder.
It's true. It's one of those shoulder dogs.
What kind of dog?
We're not sure. It's a dog of many fathers.
A good old-fashioned Saturine mutt.
Yeah.
A dog of many
And
fathers.
my house. So, as I said, I haven't been here long. And when I found my into the actuality, I followed. But first off, when I was in shadow, my family didn't really want me. I was a little weird. Surprise. And one day, as I was walking down the street, I saw this hairless cat sitting at the mouth of an alley. And so I looked at the cat, and the cat looked at me, and he walked down the alley, and I followed him. And then I ended up in the actuality, and the cat stayed with me. And that's Archie. My house. I don't know if any of you have ever seen the Winchester house in California. My house is the Winchester house. Except, unlike Sarah Winchester, who only thought there were ghosts in her house and built all the stairways, there are actually ghosts in my house that use all the stairways and doors.
It's a ghost house.
One of the most interesting things about my house is that I keep it clean with all these ghosts. There's only one that stays there all the time, though. His name is Dan, and he feeds Archie.
So let's start talking about and helping Armida discover her neighbors. TK, why don't you describe to us one of the neighbors near this massive, weird, bizarre, unusually constructed Winchester-style ghost house?
Well, you know I'm in the neighborhood all the time because you know who has the best memories? Ghosts. And if they can't remember it, they just make it up. It works just as good. Can you believe that? It works just as good. Turns out all you have to do is believe it happened. Isn't that crazy? Ghosts are the best. Let's see. I know that Peter lives in that area. Peter and I haven't been talking to each other for a little while, but you know who I have been talking to? Sven. Now, that
Did we lose TK?
guy, he knows how to party. An older man.
Cut out there.
Sven is
We
an
lost a
older
whole bunch of your
man.
stuff,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's fine. It's fine. My internet is like dying right now, which is annoying. Sven is an older. Let's see. He is very dark skinned, and he has been investing a lot of time in the changery, getting extra horns. He is very, very into that look. He likes to do a lot of rituals. He's very old fashioned. And his house isn't really, whereas Armida's house is very large, Sven's house is very small, and it's in fact a stairway that leads into the ground with only a standing stone above the doorway. And then everything down there is like a stone basement with like weird candles and paintings that watch you. It's weird. Freaks me out. But he knows how to party.
And Pruitt, why don't you give us the second neighbor?
Okay, the second neighbor. The second neighbor is viciously jealous of the Winchester house of Armida. Tries to mirror its grandeur, but they have overextended themselves, and so the house is in constant disrepair. Anything that goes wrong, they can't fix it. They don't have the money to fix it because they basically spent all their money on just getting the house. There are rooms that are just completely vacant, and so that you know those rooms because those are the ones that the curtains are up all the time. They claim that they're going to have parties, but always cancel at the last second because of some, mysterious reason, a family illness. They have to leave town really quick. But always come to Armida's parties. and always play the nice neighbor who just all smiles and laughs at all the jokes. But when they leave,
The
Armida
trick
might.
is that's the only person I ever invite.
But constantly Armida looks out and sees them like peeking through the curtains with jealousy and envy in their eyes.
In their eyes. Sorry.
There.
And her
Can see.
her name is Jade. Yeah, like that.
What are they?
I'm sorry.
what
I
are they-
promised I wasn't going to sing on the stream. I just broke my promise.
I'm glad. I do a little bit of Jekyll and Hyde, and it was enough to get her. All right, so let's talk about now. And if you're wondering what I'm doing, Jordan knows what I'm doing. I have a bajillion decks of cards on my side of the camera.
Many cards.
So many cards. This is prep for something we're gonna do a little later.
Oh God! Someone just said, "What if the Winchester house got bit by a feral house?"
Oh, God.
Then we're playing Cypher System Escape from Gorilla Planet 2. Winchester Mondius. I don't know. All right, let's talk about the interesting points of interest near the house. Armida, give us one of your own choosing.
Oh, muted again. So there is. I actually had two. So you get to choose which one I get to keep. Okay. So the first one is this giant tree, and there's this big black hole in the middle of the tree, and I talk to it because there are things in there that talk back to me. But I'm not sure if anybody else can talk to it. But it talks to me in lots of different voices. It's very exciting.
I think Noah has seen you do this, and then when you wait till you're gone, and he tries to hear whatever you were talking to, but he hasn't yet. But he keeps every once in a while. He's like,
and then the other one is a noodle shop, but the noodles don't really have a beginning and an end, and you can't figure out how they actually made them. But it's like the best noodle ever.
It's the infinite noodle.
God, it's a Mobius noodle.
Yes.
The Mobius noodle.
No.
It's longevity noodles,
Mobius
but
noodle.
crazier.
It's just one noodle.
Kelly, we're going to take both of them because I
We're
like
all
both of them
eating
a
the
whole
same
lot.
noodle.
Oh, God.
I like that. We are all eating the same noodle.
It's like the
There
surreal
you go.
Lady in the Tramp.
Noodle man.
Yes, they just lay out a giant noodle. Like everyone sits in the round, and there's just a massive noodle that goes in a circle, and you all kind of eat there and watch each other. You're slurping it up as my face gets closer and closer to Jim Davis, who turns and he gets closer and closer to Jonathan Pruitt, and just we're closing in on him, and he back and forth. He can't. Sorry.
Well, since chat,
even
since
weirder.
Go ahead.
Even weirder is the noodle's big and round.
Yes,
Bites out of it like a watermelon.
like a yes,
Like,
it's like a
wow.
boa constrictor.
And then you see like that bite go by like in a sinuous noodle.
Well, since chat apparently didn't like my vow to not sing, I will now say that Armida also sings to the tree, and the tree sings back to her.
Helps it grow.
There you go.
Make our garden grow.
All right.
Maybe Armida sings in like a register that only the tree can hear or something, or that
I
like
sing in registers that only dogs and garage door openers can
right,
hear.
exactly. Maybe whatever's speaking back to you can only speak back in those registers as well, and that's why other people can't hear them.
That works.
And I feel like I know when you're doing this because my house does like the equivalent of like wagging its tail every time you're singing to the tree.
So
And like and I get sympathetic harmony from Jim's house.
Yeah, right.
She's like a
Resonates.
Disney princess for feral houses.
By the way, you're welcome for tuning Jim's house last week. So
Oh, thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.
So-
But also, by the way, just in case you thought that everybody didn't know where all the pets go, they come to my house.
Bye.
All of them?
All of them.
Back
My rooms are infinite.
following up, I would like Jim Davis to tell us a local problem, and I'd like Jordan Shively to also tell us a local problem near or issue or rumor occurring near Armita's house. So we'll start with Jim, then we'll throw it to Jordan. He's tired.
I had a thought, and the houses in the neighborhood are infested with fraggles. This would be a problem, but they eat vegetables out of your garden, and they punch holes in your walls and bang on your pipes, and they run around and steal things out of your garbage, and it's just a real, it's a nuisance.
And Jordan, go ahead, throw us a local problem.
This is a very recent problem, and it's a big problem, so people are starting to like pay attention and say this has to be dealt with. Is like, if you have a cut or any type of wound lately, when you've been walking by the sewer entrances, the blood starts to like seep out of that wound as if it's being drawn down to something in the sewer, but the blood is almost like, it's not leaking, it's like snaking through the air towards that. If you stand there too long, it'll just keep happening. So people like try not to walk by these sewers right now anymore.
Are there?
Because you never know when you have a little cut or something like that you haven't noticed until all of a sudden it's like your blood is slithering down into the sewers.
Mm-hmm. I bet that's why it doesn't happen over there in your neighborhood. That's why people leave their vials of blood to see.
Oh, maybe that's connected. Maybe people think that somehow like they're like doing like a sympathetic.
Their blood's on a timeout.
You give an offering, then they don't try to steal your blood.
Now, Kelly, you have come out. I have totaled the scores with a positive score, so you will receive a point of joy, followed by a wicked key to award to someone who gave a particularly interesting or dynamic suggestion during the character creation.
I'm going to give it to Noah because I love the idea that he's trying to figure out who I'm talking to.
That's a secret, and man, he needs to eat that secret.
Needs it. So we've all built our neighborhood now, and the next thing we do is I'd like us to agree on bonds beneath our characters, and it's going to be assumed that everyone in this group knows each other. Now, you may not be the closest of friends, but you will have bonds with each other. You might be close friends, fated companions, fellow students, friends from the past, relatives, housemates, rivals. You might have a mystic bond. You were friends in shadow, or you have an unrequited bond. Let's establish at least two for each person. So, Pruitt, name a bond, and who, or first let's see this. Who would like to have a bond with Galahad? Nobody. You have no friends. All right, TK. All right, so Babylon and Galahad have a bond. So what is the bond between the two of you? And
Well,
you can talk
Galahad
about-
already has stayed at Babylon's house.
Mm-hmm.
So he's already been a client of Babylon. I think Babylon thinks that his memories are very interesting, and she also considers him very fashion forward.
Thank you.
She would not tell him that to his face.
No.
Well, I retract the thank you.
But
Good.
no one knows because he found out the secret. He's like, Babylon thinks you're fancy.
Yeah, like
pants are
Babylon
fancy.
really does like dress like an acid trip. And even though she has no discernible facial features other than a lipstick smile with like little baby teeth in them, besides that, like she doesn't really have facial features or anything, but she wears like blazers and like she basically looks like blazers, plaid skirts, high knee socks. It's very like 80s. It's very Heathers, very like horror anime nonsense. And so she loves like the gloves, the vests, and everything. She's like looking good. She likes it when Galahad comes over.
And Galahad likes to come over because Babylon does try to invite a lot of people over because he can tell that she likes stories and likes hearing things, and he can just go on, and she lets him, until she like randomly kicks him out sometimes.
She really does. Like, and eventually, and she turns on a dime too. She'll be like, "Oh my God, yeah, tell me more. Tell me all about it. Get the fuck out of my house, please." Like, really,
All right.
it's like 4 a.m.
And then he's right out the door, and he goes on to the next house.
She loves that he doesn't take anything personally.
No.
Life's too short.
The next question is, and what we'll do as far as our other bonds, we'll have opportunities in Discord. In the interest of time and schedule, each person will establish one on this stream. And again, if you subscribe to the Patreon and have access to the Discord, you'll be able to see all these conversations. We'll still post them and give a recap at the start of the next session, and it'll be displayed on scene just to make sure all of the viewers can follow along. Who would like to have a bond with Armida? Or Armida, who would you like to have a bond with?
I think that she's really interested in Noah because he doesn't talk to her, and she wants to talk to him. But not a lot of people really want to talk to Armida because she talks to a lot of things that aren't there. So
I think Noah is fascinated by the fact that you're talking to things that he can't hear, and because we're all studying magic and stuff. He knows that you're not crazy. He knows he just hasn't been able to figure out how to hear what you're hearing, and so.
Well, you don't know that I'm not crazy.
Well,
it might be in addition to.
Noah's viewpoint is that you're not. Like, he's like, oh, they know something I don't, and I need to figure this out. So he's very much like, hangs out, and just kind of like. But he's
man, wait till he sees the inside of that house.
Because Noah doesn't hate people; he hates the societal structure that people are caught within. So he's not like a misanthropist. He just doesn't like structures, but he is fine with like individual people.
And Archie has told me that Noah. Archie told me that Noah actually smells really nice, so I wanna talk to Noah.
Okay.
Kelly's eyes frighten me sometimes. It's kind of like there's Kelly's eyes and Grant's round cheeks.
Don't make me do the eye thing that creeps everybody out on Greyhawk.
Also, Noah used to work in a convenience store, so he has crazy people who do not faze him in the least. He's just like, oh yeah, that person, that's the thing they do.
It's just a typical Saturday night.
Python, who do you have a bond with, or who would you like to have a bond with? We lost TK.
They'll be back.
They'll be back, yeah.
So I like Python is an iconoclast, right? Like, there's some sort of something that she rails against or is opposed to. So I think like having someone who has a similar sort of mindset or attitude would at the very least sort of like kindred spirits. I think that she also has a bond with Galahad, which will flesh out in the Discord. But maybe someone else that has a similar sort of like the need to kind of fight and to something to be passionate about. I'm thinking either Armida, maybe Noah.
I think Noah hides the passion that he has a lot of times under the stoic thing, because like that comes from a lot of like emotional damage that he had, and so like if he was like probably being true to himself, he would be an ardent, but he has built this stoic shell that he uses to like examine and acquire the power he feels that he needs to not fall into the traps anymore. So
I think
I'm not sure if you would yet know how like passionate he is about God.
I think perhaps that maybe Python and Noah have just met, like they don't know each other very well, but that there's something within Python that senses a kind of a kindred spirit, but one that's maybe gone down a different path than she has.
Okay.
All right. And let's see. Babylon. Welcome back, by the way. Babylon, who's one other person you have a connection with?
I would say that Babylon, in a strange way, considers Noah to be kind of a rival. But it's kind of like I'd say in a roundabout way they do kind of want the same thing, and it's very like 80s movies, where like she's this guy who's just kind of trying to get into the parties, and she's like, "What the hell are you doing here? Why are you so weird about this? People would like you if you weren't so weird."
I know that life. That's why I play role-playing games, so I can get into the
Don't judge
parties. No. All
Can't
right.
believe you, Armida. Why you gotta add my posse?
So the
Yeah, I
next,
think she considers him a rival.
the next thing.
Oh
we're
my
going to
god, I have to just say, whatever that piano artwork is you have on the overlay right now is my new favorite thing.
Yeah,
Sorry.
the
That's
artwork for Invisible
amazing.
Sun
That is
is
rad.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
We have all kinds of artwork by all kinds of artists. Monte Cook Games has sent us some nice high-res artwork. There's a lot of great stuff in this game, and this is only the very tip of the very surface of the many great and wonderful things that we will discover throughout play. And let's... I have a stack of ephemera, and these are magic items that eventually go away. It might be you use it and then it will end on the next sunset. You might use it and then there's a chance it ends every hour. It really depends on the stack. We are going to divide these up in chat on the Discord after the game. And what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we share them around and make sure that everyone gets what they want based off of the list. It's going to take some time to accomplish that. And to read these off for our viewers, just so they know a little bit about them, we have items called Ghost Bane, which is a yellowish oil, and you sprinkle it on an object no larger than you. The oil makes the object something that ghosts, spirits, and other tangible things cannot pass. Likewise, there's...
Oh, that would be terrible in my house.
Yeah, that's how we rob you. Surprise! Or an inner burn, where it causes great heat to grow within your belly and your chest, and you suffer damage. And it might be something that you put in someone's food. The inner burn. The tacos, no, my tacos, they're ruined. Go take a... Yes.
Don't do the fire sauce, man.
So we will divide those up in the Discord, and now we're going to decide something called the desideratum, where we are as a group going to decide how we start the game, and when we start the game, essentially what's going to be the starting arc. And essentially, here's the 6 different forms that the start of the game can come in. Money. The party needs money for something. They might have a scheme of some sort that you're all going into cahoots. Power. The group needs to become more powerful in order to achieve its goals. Information. The group needs information. Allies. The group needs to get some allies. Travel. You need to go somewhere to get what you want. Or altruism, you want to help someone else. So, as a group, let's choose one of these 6 types. So there's money, power, information, allies, travel, and altruism. So you will describe one of these, then I will use it to begin to craft our narrative. So when we play next week, the story will begin to go in this direction. The scene will be set with all the information that we've established in this meeting, or in this session. So I'd like to hear some ideas from the group and talk amongst yourselves and decide. And while you do that, I will step off camera with the headphones off for about a minute and then I'll come back. Let me know. So money, power, information, allies, travel, and altruism. I'm going to start a stopwatch now.
Well, I mean, first you get the money, then you get the power. Is that how we want to do
But then
it?
you have the power and the money. But then you have the minutes and the
Well,
hours.
honestly, I would vote power or info. That's just
Both of my arcs go. We can't hear you, Kelly. But for me, both of my arcs are both to learn and to like do a great work. So
Yeah.
the information would be good for that.
So yeah, Noah definitely is all about the secrets and the information, and with that comes power to him.
Sure.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
all about finding out all the secrets that he can.
Yep.
Kelly, TK.
I want power and then information, and I want to go talk to the thing in the sewer.
Well, I think we could probably.
Oh, we could go do that because I'm curious about what it is.
How about you, TK? Having trouble?
Definitely information.
All by myself.
Cool.
So what is the group thinking?
Yeah. Oh my God, Spectrum. Sorry, don't at me spend the sewer power.
I think we definitely kind of mostly said information with an
We're all of us-
undertone of power.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's my take as well. TK
Information that leads to power.
Okay, so the beginning will be information, or, here's how we're going to make the decision. Let me read both of them out loud, exactly what it says in the book, and then we'll use that to be the differential. So the group recognizes that to achieve its goals, everyone must become more magically adept, or get their hands on some kind of magical aid, versus the group needs information. They seek answers, ideas, or just knowledge to start off their story. So do you want to do magical training or the seek of magical aid, or answers, ideas, and knowledge that you need?
I think the second one is what I was feeling that everyone was saying.
That's what it sounds right.
Correct me.
That's how I sense it. So
Because
information.
I don't think Noah would go to any school's training.
Or no, he wouldn't. He finds some off-brand magician in the streets.
I mean, he would steal a book from that school, but
I know he has stolen many. So that is going to be the start of the group narrative. We are going to begin an information story. So to sort of recap for our audience, we have 5 very magical and interesting characters that live in a fantastic and unique world that is more dreamlike than the world we exist in today. There is a blend of truth and lies that create that reality. They've come up with many interesting NPCs and locations that will begin to flesh out their narrative. And secrets out, we've invested in the directed campaign with Monte Cook Games, so we are consulting with the designers and developers of Invisible Sun in order to make this the best campaign ever. So there are many future handouts. Next week, we will actually begin actual play, entering the action mode of play, where we will play very moment to moment, as well as narrative mode, where we will do montage scenes such as travel. We'll probably rehearse the rules once or twice in Discord. I've received good advice from the designers of the game on some of the sticking points of some of the rules that need a little more explanation. And with that, quick question to Jim and Pruitt. Do we announce contest winners on the stream, or was that done in chat?
I don't know that it's been done in chat. I was understanding that we would do it on stream, but let me do some backstage chatting and see what I can figure out. I would ask our audience to sit tight real quick while we determine who gets what loot. Let's see here.
Who gets the loot?
New canon, guys. When you can hear my husband talking in the background, it's not my husband, it's just one of the
It's
ghosts in
Archie.
my house.
No.
It's just one of the ghosts in my house.
Is it the ghost of Pirate Jesus? Arr.
No, you're the voice of Archie, Grant.
I will
Does
be.
chat
Hopefully
have
my
any
voice-
questions about our any of our characters that we haven't?
So
Is there a thing that you were wondering from what we said that you want us to elaborate on more, or waiting for the raffle?
and there's lots to talk about. So chat, go ahead and give us your thoughts on the session. Let us know what questions you have. Likewise, we're going to do something as well while we gather those questions. And please do the format question in all capital letters, so it'll be easy to find them. We're going to do something that I call stars and wishes. What is something you'd very much like to see or experience or get out of the game? And this is as a player, not as a character. So let's start, and I'm going to ask this to Pruitt. What's something you want to get out of the game? This is your wishing star that you're wishing on.
What do I want to get out of this game? I think that I would like to get out of this game a better handle on my own kind of improv abilities, because this is a very narrative where and it has to be random, and since it is surreal, you have to think a little bit outside of the box, and just kind of break up my own, what I think has become kind of static thinking. So that's why I find this an amazing challenge, and I can't wait for next week already.
And I know you, and I know you are up for it. Kelly, what's one of your stars and wishes for this game? What would you really like to see as a player? Or what would you like to get out of the experience?
The fact that I can be about as weird as possible and no one's gonna blink an eye.
You gotta go full Kelly.
It's nice. It's a nice way to excuse me. Explore the ways you can like really go nuts, since it's more story based as opposed to rules and rolling based. You can go like a little crazier than you normally could say in like a D&D campaign, maybe. So I can just go out there, and that's what I'm kind of hoping it'll make me a better improvisational role player.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Jordan?
I am looking forward to kind of just being able to like see how Noah would react to all these things, and building out his character as he discovers this world at the same time. So in some way, you're actually playing like this classless character who only has his new way he's reacting to all these fantastical things after having been in the shadow. So you get to work it as a character that's kind of yourself, but with all the tweaks that you add to it for to be more interesting than myself.
All right. And then TK, what's one of your wishes for the game? What do you want to get out of it as a player?
I wish my internet. Honestly,
Ain't happening.
oh my gosh, no. Spectrum's like the only thing. Spectrum, whatever. Anyway, I'm actually looking forward to several DMs and forward to stealing all of your. That's great to the improvisational role play, and accustomed to player driven. I have no idea if you heard any of that.
You want to get accustomed to the player driven and develop more improvisational skills? Was that close?
And you want
Yes,
to steal our
perfect.
memories?
Yep.
Okay,
All right.
I just
Yeah.
assumed on that one.
Yeah, and all of your ideas in a novel. I'll just feel like yes.
We literally heard, I want to steal, and I was just like, Our memories?
Remember?
Well, everything. Oh,
Now,
oh my god.
there's a lot of questions in chat, and I think these would be great to answer through Twitter and postings because there's so many. But I will answer one. Marcy Vallon, Marcy's actually a cast member in another Invisible Sun game we're running, and she's actually the person who taught me Cypher System. The second most expensive cube I own is the Black Cube by Monte Cook Games. The most expensive cube I own is a crystal cube that I use as an object lesson when I'm working with hospitals, where if you look at it one way, it says the word problems, then you turn it on its side and you see thousands of points just shooting in every direction. Then you flip it over the final way and it says the word solutions. So it all depends on how you look at points of data, whether or not something is a problem or a solution. So that will be the answer I question. I've collected the other ones into a Word document. Thank you so much, chat, for coming out too. Why don't we go around, cast and crew, let everyone know where we can find each other online. So starting with the man, the myth, the legend, Jim Davis.
All right. So I have the names of our giveaway winners. We've got 2 from Twitter and 2 from Facebook, and we will be reaching out to them to get them their info and get them the prize that they won. So our Facebook winners are Jared Locke and Michael Miller, and our Twitter winners are at Lilfiel and at Easteix. So we will be reaching out to y'all. I don't know if you guys are in the chat, if y'all are out there or watching, or get that information and get your prizes on their way. And otherwise, this is great. I love a good session 0 just because it's when the whole thing starts to come together and connections between players and characters and setting all start to get made. It's that strange alchemy of play that is why role-playing is one of my favorite hobbies that has stuck with me for so long. So I'm really excited to see what everybody's characters are. I'm really excited to play with some new people, get to be a player, and experience that side of the game. So that's awesome. You guys come check us out if you enjoy the role-playing stylings of myself, Grant, and TK. Check us out tomorrow night on Land Between Two Rivers. Otherwise, we've got Pruitt's game next week on Tuesdays at 6 Central. And otherwise, come check us out wherever DM can be found online.
And TK, where can we find you online? What you up to?
My internet just started working again. I'm super excited about that.
Play some Overwatch.
Yeah. I'm TK. I write spooky stories on the internet. You can find those spooky stories on the internet at Twitter. TK joins the fray. I'm pretty much TK joins the fray, or TK has joined the fray, depending on how many characters I'm allowed to have. Or you can go to the website that I just paid for again after a month. tkjwrites.com if you like to read spooky stories for free. Thursdays I'm here with my internet breaking while I'm playing a lizard folk ranger that rips people limb from limb. It's awesome. We all have a good time. We love it. And then Sundays I am on the D&D Twitch with Hell's Bells, which is an all tiefling party. We go across the plains. I set things on fire. We have a good time. I'm a mercy killer. Oh, spoiler. Okay, bye. That's it.
And Jordan Shively.
Well, you can find me writing the Dread Singles Twitter, which is at Hottest Singles. I also do t-shirt design, which is at voidmerch.net, not .com, because someone had that. I also write sometimes for role-playing games. Recently, it was for Spire by Grant Howitt, and upcoming for City of Mist. I'm on a podcast called Carrying Into the Void, where it's like the shitty version of lore, where me and my friend just tell each other a weird story and then make it into a self-help moment. I think that's about it for now.
And the opera geek, Kelly Butler.
Butler?
That's how you pronounce it in California. Butler.
Okay, so hi. I am the Opera Geek. That is Pirate Jesus.
You're like,
I don't
darn
know
right
what
it
he's
is.
talking about. Yeah. So I am a professional opera singer. You can find me on Twitter at the Opera Geek. Pretty much everybody, everywhere. I'm sorry, everybody. I got distracted. So you can find me Opera Geek everywhere. Website is kellybutler.com. And you can find me on Wednesdays on the Greyhawk channel.
This is where he's going to come on
I just
camera
yelled-
and
I
pull her
just
off
yelled,
like
"Be
a
quiet."
caveman.
So, Greyhawk channel, playing Greyhawk singing Bard Brelinda, who is currently trying to get into Strahd's pants. Yes. Bye.
Who isn't trying to get into Strahd's pants?
Mm-hmm.
And with the little monkus cat, Pruitt.
Aww.
Where can
Hello.
we find you?
I'm Pruitt of WebDM. This is Monk, my special boy. I like Jim said, we got our games on Tuesday, Thursday, show on Wednesday. Also catch me on Encounter Roleplay. Earlier today, I had Call of Cthulhu at noon Central. At 3:00, we got Warhammer, where Jim is the GM, and that looks to be a fun season coming up. So be sure to check those out. Other than that, back to you, Grant. Great time tonight. I love this.
And as for me, I am Grant Ellis. I'm an independent content creator for tabletop role-playing games, primarily 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons and Cypher System. I am currently running 3 Invisible Sun campaigns. They are on 3 different channels, but it is all the same campaign world. So our characters impact the games that will take place on the Once Upon a Game channel, as well as Off the Table. And there will be a 4th Invisible Sun show launching in October on Grimjack 21502's channel. If you don't know who Grimjack is, he's a WotC partner in by far one of my favorite role players, and one of the reasons I stream all together. He has graciously begged me to bring Invisible Sun to his channel. I have a Patreon where 100% of the money goes to pay our players for their time, pay for artwork for the stream, pay the production costs. It's at patreon.com/Grant R. Ellis. Thank you so much, everyone who came out for the stream. We had over 100 viewers at one point. It was great times. And with that, we will catch you next week as we begin to dive into the narrative of Unearthly Twilights here on Invisible Sun. Goodbye.
The river rolls through the countryside, and voices of 100 crows, a celestial tide, and great pine branches overhead, where the wild wind rides. All things rule here, campaigns of a lost year, and dungeons darkened waves of light, and ecstasies of questing nights. How the wind revives us here.